I should get on that YouTube account and name what stuff is. But
Mm.
I can barely get this done. So, you know, people just kind of have to whatever. Maybe I should tell people go and put in the comments what that was about. Would you please? Um let's see here. Okay. Now, I'm going to have to send that to myself uh on Facebook that I can't get on. Okay. So I'm going to have to copy this down by hand the old fashioned way. Oh my goodness sakes. Okay. YouTube.com/watch question mark V equal D V capital O capital N small r. Funny thing WAIJM capital J and an M. All right, there we go. Now, okay, now I'm gonna hmm, I should have just taken a picture of that with my camera. Just a second here. Just makes it. Okay. Okay, I'll just do it in this way. Um oh, just a second here. Okay. Okay, can you see that foot there?
Yeah, I
So
see.
okay, so I took that foot and I did a whole bunch of to it. So um, I don't know if you can adjust how fast this goes. Okay, I'll put that on. All right, let's see. Okay, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, I'm here. Has this been changing pictures for you? Hello? Can you hear me?
No, it's just this one that you see there where it's
Well,
the bone.
a stupid thing. Wonder why. Um, I guess it won't show a slideshow. Let's try this. What do you see now?
Now it's the foot with the white outline. Now it's a slideshow. Now it's changing.
Oh, okay. Sorry about
Yeah.
that. I guess I put it on there, but I guess after you start it, then you have to.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took this foot. This is my inspiration foot,
Hmm.
that made me start seeing that the horse has a foot, that it's not just a bone, just parts in a capsule. And that was a heel buttress, but anyway. I don't know why those pictures are in there. Where? So you see, over 2/3 of the foot is soft and movable. Only the bone itself is hard, and it can still be moved back and forth. Not like from side to side, but up and down because it's on a joint. That would be the periopal flap skin. It covers the back of where where the buttress is connected. I should post these. I never let's if I could get this thing to stop. Just a minute. Stop. Stop. We'll go through a little bit of anatomy here. Stop. Okay. Screen share. Okay, now fair use. I claim fair use. The FU copyright law. I'm sorry, that just cracks me up. Fair use, that you can use other people's photos, all right, for criticism or education or parody. All right. So this foot, this foot here is on Pete Ramey's website. Okay. If you find it on there, you'll see where he marked the cartilage up here and didn't even mark it right. So he didn't even know what cartilage was. These are our experts. And anyway, so this foot has been an inspiration to me. Now, this foot, now it's just so ironic because this foot was given to him by Cheryl Henderson of ABC Hoof Care, the ABC Hoof Care Butcher. Okay, they trim the heels and the sole and everything. You'll find if you go to ABC Beware, ABC Hoof Care Beware on Facebook, you'll find picture after picture after picture after picture of bloody feet. Okay, where they think that they are chasing the bar and digging bars out all over the bottom of the foot. And just a horrendous trim, in my opinion. Um, anyway, she gave this wild horse foot, where she got it, who knows, to Pete Ramey. This is years ago. This year 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, something like that, for him to dissect. And see, this is why this is so bizarre. Because this foot, I'm not kidding you, this is a perfect foot. The sole, the quality of the inner foot, everything is perfect on this specimen. Yet they do not trim to get this foot. They trim the exact opposite way. If they were to come and trim this foot, they would destroy it. That's how they trim. They would cut these heels out because, see, she teaches Strasser's method of trimming heels, okay, which brings, this is periopal skin right here. She would cut the heels right here. Now, what happens is, and why you don't run into blood, is that as you are trimming the heel buttress out here, it's pulling this cartilage down like that, and it's shoving this heel here up into the foot. So that's the only reason you don't run into blood when you keep trimming heels like that, trimming them down and down, because the more this is pulled down and around here, the more this heel is shoved up. If you go to our group page, which I can't, oh man, see, I can't get on Facebook on this computer, so I'm not going to be able to go through any of the pictures. Because something's wrong with my computer here. It won't let me on Facebook. I can get on Facebook and on the computer in my, oh, no, I couldn't do it. I might be able to switch computers. I don't know. So something's messed up here. So I was looking it up before I got on here. But anyway, okay, so.
Linda, can I ask a question? Hi,
Sure.
this is Nat. Earlier you said you could go to a website and see pictures of a bunch of bloody feet where the bars were trimmed out.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've just switched to heels trimming out. Right when I was getting asked why would they try to trim bars out to the point where they were bloody? So did you mean bars or heels or both?
Both.
Okay. All right. Was just
both.
looking for clarification. Thanks.
Yeah, both. They do both. The only thing is, when you trim the heels out, it pushes the literal physical heel up, so you don't usually run into blood. Okay.
So what's the point of trimming the bars out, in their opinion?
Okay. Well, she teaches that the bar spreads all over the sole. Okay. She did some dissections, and she had some aquariums where she bought these bugs that eat flesh tissue. That's what taxidermists use to get the really white skulls. And so she put these feet in there, and the bugs ate everything but this, I don't know how to explain it, but some of the stuff that seemed to exude from what she thought the bar was. And so they dig all over the sole looking for this elusive what they call bar smear. Okay, and really all it is it's uh, laminar serum or wound exude, as they call it. I don't know if I said that word right. It's stuff that the foot emits when it's compromised. See, to solidify and kind of hold the foot together and solidify. Like, okay, you know what? Sometimes your horse's sole gets really yellow. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's why I was clarifying, because we were talking about, trimming the bars back and all of that stuff. And a couple of meetings ago, we were talking about ingrown bars,
Yeah.
and how to deal with those.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that they're trying to dig out all the exudate.
Yeah.
Apparently they don't understand that that's like a scab and they're picking the scab off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was just trying to.
That's what they're doing. And so, okay. So yeah, so you'll see blood everywhere.
Yeah.
Horses that can't walk and stuff like that, And but see, when you don't know, you can be talked into this. Now thank God I never got talked into going that far. But I did get talked into taking the heels way down.
Yeah, well, didn't we all? That's why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff. So and now we know why. See, this little area here, it'll just go flat and push up that way. While this comes down, that's why you don't run into blood there. Okay, so, and that's the hard part about restoring the heel too, because that means that this has to come up and those heels have to, that have been pushed up like this, now have to come back down. And that's what takes longer, Okay, so anyway, this foot was a wild horse foot. And even though they had this foot as an example, they didn't really use it. I mean, on his website, he says we should trim to get this foot and blah, blah, blah. But he absolutely does not. He trims just the opposite because he's been influenced by other people. And so instead of studying the 2 feet that he has that are absolutely awesomely excellent, I feel anyway that he just got really influenced by others like David Landerville and others, Dr. Boker. And see, that's another thing. See, Dr. Boker teaches that the sole, the sole grows out from the bars? Okay, and you think, well, where did he get that? He got that from Cheryl Henderson because he went up there to teach, see, at her school. And of course, she laid all her stuff on him. See, what happens is when people get together and they talk, they pick up things from one another. And then they're influenced by those things and they just repeat them. And it is not a science. The soul does not grow from the bars. Okay, I have taken enough of these feet apart to tell you that is the craziest thing I have ever heard. Now, what can happen if you don't cut all 3 layers of the bar is that the lamina layer could in fact spread over the sole, just like the whole bar. If you don't cut it, has anybody here, have any of you ever seen a foot where the Linda Vanda Nelson did this horse where literally the whole bar grew up and laid over and grew over the whole sole of the foot? This is not embedded bar. It's literally the bar wall just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and laying over the sole and covered the whole bottom of the foot. I'll have to try and find that. But
I've seen close to that, Linda, and it's really, really, really hard to get off sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't exfoliate like the normal sole exfoliates.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. And so you can imagine that one layer, if all 4 layers, whatever it is, could grow gradually over the whole sole. And really what it is it's growing high, then it's laying down, and it just continues to grow and finally covers the sole. And so and when you pick it up, a lot of times you'll find a layer of dirt in between it and the sole underneath, because it just grew up and laid over the sole and then continued to grow like that. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so if you don't, this is why it's important when you're trimming bars to define and get all the layers, so that you have the outer layer of the bar, the inner, then the lamina line, and then the sole. Say you want to make sure that you're defining the bars, because the lamina line could in fact lay over and start merging over the sole. And so I can see how then they interpret this as, oh, the sole grows from the bars. Somebody's calling me, just a second. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay, so you see, it's all science and the study of these feet and everything, it's all open to interpretation. And so if you don't know the anatomy and you start making, and you're not some of these people have trim, some haven't, some of these researchers are horse people, some really aren't, things like that. And so if you don't know the true anatomy of these feet, and then let's say just one layer of the bar, like the inner layer. Well, let me put a picture up here. Just a second here. We'll look at this foot. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so here's a picture. And you can see that this bar is defined. You can definitely tell the difference between the lamina here that connects the bar to the sole. See there? So this is what I mean by you got to start getting this area defined. So because this lamina here, and even an inner layer, if you didn't get it, it could start growing this way, because it does grow up and then it can lay over this sole here, and it could start merging and pushing its way over the sole. But that's not sole, that's bar. But what happens is that it can get so melded into the sole that it looks like sole. Okay, and so then they think that they got to chase it all over the foot and dig it out, Okay, you don't, no. And very rarely are you going to see this totally melded into a foot. But every single foot they get, they're digging the heck out of them to try and dig bar wall. And then somehow this interpretation that the sole grows from the bars. There's a bunch of them that said it. Pete Ramey said it. They come up with it, I'm pretty sure, from Cheryl Henderson and her bug-eaten hooves. Because you'd see the hoof capsule and then you'd see this layer coming out from the bar and kind of just partially being here and there. And so they got this thing going that the sole grows from the bars and forward over the foot. And that is absolutely false. Totally.
Can I ask
100%.
another question?
Yeah.
Just tell me to shut up when I ask too many.
No, please ask all the questions.
Okay, this is the perfect picture this is why I'm interrupting you yet again. This is the perfect picture to remember we were talking about the bars forming bubbles or bumps or whatever you called them a few sessions ago.
Oh,
right there where you put your cursor
right
is
here.
exactly where they start.
Yeah.
So what do you think that's from? And when you're trimming them, I can't tell on that picture because you have that sort of lighter gray line where you just moved your cursor up.
Uh-huh.
That line that goes straight up from where your cursor is.
Yeah.
Is that where you have trimmed bar or is that the sole? And when you get those little bubbly bumps, because to me, it looks like right where you have your cursor on your picture, it looks like there might be a little bit of a higher spot. Maybe there's no, okay. But when you're trimming that area, like from where your cursor is to the toe, especially if you have those bumps or curvy over stuff, do you take that all the way down to the level of the sole?
Well, I just try to start getting everything defined because I know where it belongs. Because it, a lot depends on, what's going on here. How thin is your sole? What's going on in this area? Now, this horse has thick sole all throughout here. Sometimes it's real thin in here. But what you have right here where you feel a lump.
Yeah, what do you think causes that bump?
Okay, that bump is a bump in the coffin bone itself that's naturally there. And that's where the bar connects into the back of the coffin bone.
Okay. I've been asking so many people what makes that little bump there, and nobody can tell me except you.
Yeah, well,
and that might be why you don't want to remove much of it.
Yeah, okay. There is a slight bump there. See, the back of the coffin bone's right in here.
Right.
Okay. And so there is a bump in the actual coffin bone itself because, see, I was like you, I wondered, and I had a coffin bone and I was feeling it, and those bumps were right in the bone itself. So yeah, so you can allow for a bump there. You don't want to totally take it out, but you don't want a big clump there either. You know what I mean? Because that'd be like a rock in your shoe. Like you don't want to.
That's why I'm always wondering how much of it to take out and how much to leave. The farrier I actually fired, said that when those bumps appear, that's when you know that you have your horse, the hoof balanced. And I didn't know whether to believe that or not. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why are these bumps so evident on some feet and not on others? Like, some people have never even seen that bump.
Yeah. I don't know. I do know that they say a lot of things, that just are screwy.
I'm laughing, but I've muted myself so no one has to hear my dog barking.
Oh.
When you said they say a lot of things, I started laughing.
Yeah, they say a lot of stuff that is just not true, because that's what somebody told them. and it's tradition that gets passed on from one guy to the next, you know, and because they in truth they don't have a clue, you know, but they think they do. And that's the whole hoof care industry is so full of it, you know, so full of error. Um, I tried to learn anatomy from them because I wanted to understand the foot, you know, because I knew that the only way to get my horse sound was to understand what was going on. And so I tried to understand anatomy, and they are the worst teachers of anatomy there are. They believe so many whacked out, stupid things that have been passed down since the medieval ages. And you can read it all in George Fleming's book. Not all of it, because some of it is from the Barefooters, which was started by farriers, also, by the way. So you can read about it in George Fleming's book. Horseshoes and horseshoeing, their history, uses, and abuses. That's on the Internet Archive. And I know somebody that went ahead and just ordered the book. You can get the book too, written in the late 1800s. It's 700 and some pages long, gives you a history. I mean, you wouldn't believe all the stuff that's been written about horses' feet over the centuries, and the stuff they believe, you know, including the debate on whether the coffin bone was ground parallel or not. You know, that's another thing I learned. No, it's not. It sets in the foot at a positive angle. You know, the foot itself with its coriums and its sole corium and stuff sets flat, but the bone within the foot is set at an angle so that the corium is thicker in the heel than it is in the toe, which is only right, right? Just like our shoes, right? We have more rubber in the heels, and it's slightly elevated. Then, I mean, you know, that'd be something to study. Why don't they just make flat shoes? Why, even when they make tennis shoes, do they elevate our heel a bit? There's got to be some physiological thing going on there, you know? So it's just interesting in the foot of the horse itself that his sulcorium gets thicker as it goes towards the heel underneath the coffin bone, so that the coffin bone is set at a slight angle, you know, with a slight positive angle. So when you over trim the heels, you actually crush that corium and force the coffin bone to be flat or ground parallel. See, and so I'm sure. So there you go. That's that interpretation thing again. You know, somebody come along, they got a foot where the heels have been trimmed out, it crushed the corium. They looked at it and they said, oh, look there, the coffin bone is ground parallel. And then the big debate started and stuff. But, you know, I've been fortunate to get several feet that the heels were not crushed in them. And so you can see how the bone is set in there at an angle, and that nice corium is just thicker as it goes through the heel. Anyways, okay, so you see here, you got your different layers of bar. So you want to start trying to get this defined. And a lot of times when things are laid over and merged together and stuff like that, you can't do it all in one fair swoop. It takes time, and you start, and then you let the foot grow a little, and things will kind of shift and change. But eventually, say the definition here, you want to be able to see that definition, and you want to be able to tell the difference between lamina and inner bar wall, and then what is sole here, just like up here at the apex of the frog. You know, see everything on that foot. If we were to take the hoof capsule off, it's just covered with skin, you know, and sometimes it's hard to tell what corium is what, because it's all just covered with the skin that grows the foot, and it all just merges and blends seamlessly into one another. And so just like here where the true apex of the frog is, why do we call this the true apex of the frog? Well, you have the apex of the frog, and then you have the true apex of the frog, and then you would have the apex of the frog corium itself that grows the frog. And so the true apex of the frog, when the frog grows, okay, it grows higher and it lays over in front of itself on the sole right here. And so you have to trim it back till you find where the sole blends seamlessly into the frog right here. And you want to get that excess frog material off this area right here. Because it is from the, and that's why we call it the true apex. See, the false apex is the frog that has grown high and laid over the sole right here. It's false because that's not where you would measure from. And you don't want the frog laying over the sole because you don't want it to choke the sole out. You see, it's like with this bar right here, say I didn't trim all the layers and I miss like just these layers. They're going to keep growing this way. Okay. And they're going to lay over the sole and they're going to choke it out. And then they're just going to keep growing. See, so you can kind of understand. I mean, I guess I can kind of understand why they started chasing bar wall all over the place. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about hoof wall, because bar wall is just hoof wall. It's got a little different consistency. It is a little softer, or can be, not necessarily all the time. But the thing is, if you start trimming right in here to where you finally can sever whatever's grown this way, okay, you have severed it off here. Well, it's going to die. And then it's going to exfoliate and be able to get out of there easier. See, just like when you trim the hoof wall, what happens? The piece you trim off, it doesn't take not very long for it to die and curl up, right? So as long as you, so yeah, you don't need to be chasing stuff all over the sole. If you did have bar, this part of the bar that kind of merged in and choked out the sole, if you start defining the bars in here, eventually that stuff's going to show up, because when you cut off its connection right here, it's going to die. And so it's going to quit growing. And but most of the time, people don't just have bar all over their sole, and they don't, sure as heck, don't need to be chasing it to and digging down to blood. You know what I mean? So anyway, so how did we get over here? Anyway, okay, so I want to go back to this other foot now. Just a minute here. Okay, so we're just going to kind of go through this foot here. This is an anatomically perfectly formed internal foot. Anything that deviates from the shape and form of this foot is deformation and distortion. Yeah, if the coronary band right here is pulled down like this, that's deformed. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I think I did this before. Okay, so this is kind of old. Let me see when I did this. I did this in 2016. Okay, on February 25th, 2016. I was just looking at the properties there. So what I did was I outlined at the time what I thought the foot was. Okay, because I still was not at that time realizing that all of this up here is also the foot. All this up here. Now I knew it was the cartilage, but I didn't realize this is just as much a part of the foot as this is right here. Or I guess I didn't. Do you ever get like that? There's things you know, but you don't know, but you're kind of there, but you're not. But anyway, yeah.
I don't think we're on the right picture.
Oh, crud.
I'm still looking at a sole.
Okay. Thank you. Just a minute here. How's that?
Yep, that's better. Thank you.
Okay, so anyway, I said this is a anatomically perfectly formed foot. This is that wild foot. Okay, so, here's your heel buttress. This is the heel buttress wall that grows from the very end right here of the coronary band. Right here. That's why it needs this periopal skin to cover it up, because see, the buttress grows just under here like that. Whereas up here, the wall grows clear around that and covers it. But there's no covering under here. And so this periopal skin covers over the back of that. Let's see here. Okay. This is the heel buttress wall that grows from the very end of the coronary band down the back of the heel, attaches to the back of the heel here of the inner foot. It connects with the sole right there, and it grows to the ground with it. It is the main weight-bearing structure of the weight-sharing structures of the bottom of the foot. Without this, the hoof wall's all over the place. This is what stabilizes everything. This and the frog stay and the frog, all of that going across the back of the foot. Okay, so now I did not draw this bone in here correctly. I think I drew that in there. I don't know, maybe Pete Ramey drew that in there. Okay, because if I was going to draw it, it would be drawn like this. More like that. See, because remember I told you it gets thicker under here. Maybe more about like so. Because the corium under here is thicker. Where am I at here? Just a minute. Okay, so let's see. Go to the next one. Okay. Okay, so, you know, what you see is what you get. Like I say here. Okay, with the heel and the cartilage pulled down here, what does it do here? It pulls this down, pushes that up under there into the back of the coffin bone under here. See if we go back here. Wait a minute. Let me find a coffin bone. Okay, there. This is the coffin bone. This is on a joint right here. Okay, so if all this part of the foot is pushed up under here, it pushes this up, because look, the heel's pushing up, right? This heel's pushing up. What's it do to the wing of this coffin bone? Pushes that up. Well, this is connected to a joint right here, so it's not going anywhere. So as it pushes it up, what does it do with the dorsal wall of the coffin bone? It pushes it down like that. So what it's doing is just like as if you were turning a doorknob counterclockwise. See, pushes that up, it rotates on the joint, pushing this down, just like you're turning a doorknob. Okay, so then this is why a lot of times what you see is what we just looked at. We're going to go back to there on that foot, because as this is going on, the wall itself is being forced forward. So the foot here is pushing back like this. and the coffin bone especially pushing down, but the wall is all pushing forward. And that's why you see these feet that got these flares in the dorsal wall, and like we're going to look at here in a second. And you'll get a laminar wedge in there too, separation in the wall. So again, let's think about that. Think about this mechanically. Now, I wish I had the overall skill, which I'm working on a deal where I'm going to try and do this animation on this. As this is being pulled down, this heel is being shoved up. Since it's connected right here to the coffin bone, then the coffin bone is being shoved up that way. Now, since it's hooked on the bone here in a joint, it's not going anywhere. So it's being turned counterclockwise, and the toe is being pushed down this way. Okay, now let's go back to those pictures. Here we go. Okay, this pretty famous foot on the web as well. I forget that farrier's name. Michael Savoldi, I think, talks about uniform sole thickness, but he didn't really understand what was going on here. There's no way you could have just trimmed this horse's foot this way and had him be okay. See how he thought he could just lower the heels. No, see, it's the cartilage that's bound making this foot this way. So you see what happens, how the foot itself is actually, remember what I just say happens? The cartilage gets pulled down, okay, down this way, and into the foot, which is what's happening here. Okay, the coffin bone right here is connected to these heels. It's being pushed up this way, which is rotating it right here and pushing the bone down that way. Now, do you see how that bone is pushing down on the sole and back that way? But the toe wall you can see here is being forced forward. We see actually quite a few feet like that, don't we? And it's not from high heels. These are false heels. See, these are false heels here. You can see, look, one way we can tell they're false heels is the live sole plane. There's nothing in there. See, we're always talking about, or at least I am telling people about how, and a lot of you have noticed that when your heels are trimmed out, you have all this flaky sole in the seat of the corn. Okay, that's because the real heel has been pushed and forced up, and so you're unable to grow uniform sole thickness here because the back of your foot is bound. You see, there's just so much mechanical stuff going on here. So these are false heels. There's no way that you could have trimmed these heels down like that and had this horse be sound. Without understanding all this stuff, when you first look at this, okay, you think, oh yeah, there you go, uniform sole thickness. Well, that ain't much sole, is it? And the reason the horse does not have sole is because it doesn't have true heels. And because all the cartilage is pushed this way, distorting the foot, pushing, again, what's it do? Cartilage bulbs pulled down this way, pushing up that way, which in turn rotates the coffin bone back this way. And that's what you have here in this foot. Now, I don't have the picture where he hasn't cut into this yet. See? But what you see here is you see the reality of the sole. Now you know why when you're see, now a lot of times this will fill up with sole and you don't realize this is going on. But you hear a lot of people asking, well, should I dig out the seed of the corn? Should I dig out all the flaky sole and then take the heels down to live sole? Say, well, these aren't the real heels. Okay. And here, look at the heel buttress here. See, that's not even, I think there's like this much heel buttress right here. Wait a minute. Let's see. We get another color. There's like maybe a little bit of heel buttress here. Something like that. Not much, or wait a minute. Undo. I'm trying to see how it goes. Something like that. You know, this is, and you see the cartilage pulled down like so. So this is a bound foot. Let's see. Let me undo this. Okay.
So, Linda, where would the heel buttress on that hoof, that picture number 1 you were just on, where is it supposed to be?
Well,
I mean, it should be like clear back to the end of that picture, right? And is that what I'm looking
yeah,
at, where the white in that heel goes up and looks like a clip on a shoe?
yeah.
Is that point there at the top of that? Is that the beginnings of where the heel buttress starts to grow from on the periople skin?
Well, right here, his heel buttress is tucked in under the foot. And this is more like, I'm not even sure this is actual, it may be some heel buttress, but
I'm sorry, I meant picture number 1 underneath that picture 1. I'm sorry, I'm looking
this
on
one?
my phone, so I can only see one pic. Yeah. See that point right above your cursor? Is
right
that
here?
where the actual heel buttress? Yes. Is that where the heel buttress is supposed to be growing from? It's just displaced and should be further back.
Well, I think that's just a piece of that. If you look at, I don't know if you can see, just a minute here. Clear all drawings. Just a minute, and I'll see if I can. Do you see this foot here where my cursor is now?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, do you see this piece of whatever it is here?
Right. That's the piece I was questioning. What is that?
That's just a piece of stuff he left there when he was cutting everything off. Like it's just
okay.
A piece of wall or something like that. You know,
see, I was assuming that little triangle your hand is on there was maybe the bent under deformed heel buttress.
I think that it is.
Okay.
You know, I think that it is as well. You know, that when you make the picture smaller, it gets clearer. And you can see he just left a wedge of some sort of junk on there. But like I'm trying to tell how this goes, and this is what I think is happening. Just a second here. Annotate. Let me get a good color that shows up. Well, let's do blue. Okay, I think that you got this going on, that this is the back of the coronary band like this. That the heels are pushed up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's where that white dot there was puzzling me.
Yeah, I can't, because he left that piece of junk in there, you can't really see it real well, but you know that the whole cartilage is pushed down like this. And you know, how it's growing here, it's hard to tell, because even this here, being up like that, remember I said that pushes the heels up, pulls this all down and pushes that up. You know, so it's really quite a mess here. And so the only thing that could have been done for this horse is hopefully if the back of the foot could have somehow been released to unbind all this stuff that was pushing up in here, pushing the back of that coffin bone up. Like, even in explaining this time, like the more times I explain this and look at it, the more I understand what's happening, because there's so many things going on. Like this time, what I really saw was the fact that when those heels are pushed up, well, the coffin bone is connected right there. Let's see here, just a minute. No, I gotta look for where to clear all drawings. Okay, stop the annotation for a minute. Okay, since the coffin bone is connected to all this cartilage right here, okay, I'm see now it's just funny how, okay, I'm seeing how when this heel's pushed up, since it is connected to the coffin bone, it's naturally pushing that coffin bone up. You know, when this is pushed up, that's pushed up because it's all connected. And so when that's pushed up, then again, rotates on the joint right here, pushing the toe down this way. And so that's why you got this. Look at how this horse, nice straight wall, everything kosher and good. But this horse not. All this pulled down, pushing the heel up, rotating it and pushing. Look at how steep. Look at the dorsal wall here of the inner foot. Just a minute. Okay, and look how steep this is. Another thing. Look at up here. Look at the coronary band. How that's bent. Look at the front of the foot here. Like up here, he's got more that he's taken off. And it even looks like this even relaxed a little bit and kind of let that down. I don't know. Maybe he just maybe it just looks that way because he took some stuff off. I don't know. But look at the, you know, the sole should not be extruding out this way. The foot should not have been back on the sole like that. See, look at the sole here, the toe and the sole. Look at it here, forcing the wall forward. See? Anyway, okay.
Excellent pictures to juxtapose, Linda. You did excellent work on that, and I agree that you should post those.
Okay,
There's a lot to be learned from those two pictures. They're excellent.
Yeah, just comparing, you know, just even the alignment of the bone here, how that's going to affect all that in these horses.
Everything.
You know?
I'm sorry. Did you ever measure the angle on the dorsal wall of the correct foot? You know how...
I think I tried to with the protractor.
I was just wondering what angle that was.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll post these and then maybe somebody can find a program they can put it in and measure it.
Cool.
You know, and measure the difference between this one and that one.
I don't even know how you would go about measuring the angle of the bent one.
I know it. Okay.
Thank you. I'll shut up now.
Oh, you know, please don't shut up. That's not why we're here. We're not here for me to just talk. Okay. Anybody that has anything to say, I want you to pipe up and as much as you want. Okay.
Okay, you might be sorry you said that.
No, I don't think so. I sure won't. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So I have this on there for some reason. Since it's there, I'm gonna read it. Okay, this was something I like to look at properties to see when was I thinking about this. Okay, this was in 11/5 into 2016. Okay. Anyway, this is a picture of a foot they think has good heels. But over here, I simulated what would have been better to actually have heels. See there? All right. Well, anyway, like I said, what you see is what you get. There's those 2 feet. Okay. This was just pictures I was going through. I want to get to those other pictures. Okay, this is where Strasser tells you to trim the heels to. Heel height guidelines. Okay, so I just want to go through these feet. Okay, so and define stuff. All right, so this is the coronary band. It's supposed to be relatively straight. Any curvature at all would be right here in the quarter. The back is absolutely not supposed to be curving down like that. Again, here's the bone in the foot, but it is not flat. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Pete Ramey's drawing. Okay, because mine would have had some elevation right here. And I can show you that in real dissections. And this horse, if they would have taken and cut out the corium right here, they would have seen that this horse's foot was not, the coffin bone was not ground parallel. So you see, then if you force the foot to be ground parallel, you're going to have to crush the cartilage. Let's see here. Okay. So again, this is how much of the foot, and of course the center of the coffin bone is hollowed out right there inside. So most of the foot is soft cartilage and fat. It is not hard bone. That's why it can be so manipulated. Okay, so then this is a coffin bone I had, and darn it, I think my dog ate it or something because it just disappeared. It really bummed me out. Because on this coffin bone, you could see that there's no way that this bone was supposed to be ground parallel at all. When you lay it on a table, you could just see, nope, wasn't meant to be like that. It was a coffin bone of a back foot as well. Okay, so cartilage, firm, whitish, flexible, connective tissue found in various forms in the larynx, in the respiratory tract, in structures such as the external ear, and in the articulating surfaces of the joints. It is more widespread in the infant skeleton, being replaced by bone during growth. So you see, cartilage can turn into bone, but there is some cartilage that is not supposed to turn into bone. And so it was really, it shouldn't have been a surprise, but it was pretty amazing when I did this dissection here several months ago and found that this cartilage right here in the heel had turned to bone. Now they always talk about side bone, okay, which is where the cartilage up here starts turning to bone. But it was amazing to see the cartilage down here had turned to bone because the heels were trimmed out of the horse. See, pressure, and deforming it and putting that pressure on it turns it to bone. Okay, and this is interesting too, because see, when you're researching this stuff, the more synonyms you know, the more stuff you can find. So the coffin bone, also known as the pedal bone in the US, is the bottommost bone in the equine leg, also known as, we already got two names there, the distal phalanx, the third phalanx, or P3. So how many names we got? We have coffin bone, pedal bone, distal phalanx, third phalanx, or P3. Say they got to know all them synonyms. All right, so there we just see hard bone, and I probably have that too big. There's it should probably end right about here. But anyway, soft and flexible, and this is the whole foot, but it's one unit, and yeah. All right. Okay, now this shows the sole. Now this horse would have had at least 1 inch of sole, but this is sole ridge. See? Okay. That's what we want. Says sole thickness is equal or greater than the height of the internal physical heel of the horse. Okay, so just a second here. Okay, so here's the internal heel of the horse right here. Okay, so you want sole thickness, at least it was on this horse, and I can see he probably actually right there. I bet right here, I bet he had a little bit of exfoliatable sole right there. So probably totally live sole to there. So that's how much sole coming from the bottom of the foot down to there. You want at least that much. So therefore, just a minute here. How much heel buttress do you need from the hairline? Okay, down to here. See, I'd say this from here to here is probably here to here, maybe 1 3/4 inches to 2 inches right in here. But you see why you got to have that? And in the correct place, like you could have what you think are heels on a bound foot that are right here. You could have 2 inches, but it's still not the true heel. Just like that foot we were looking at. That foot looked like it had heel, didn't it? And so then they interpret that as the horse had too high a heel, and that is what made the horse founder and his foot do that flare and laminar wedge in the toe. That's what the way they interpret that, because they don't know that all this cartilage has been pulled down and that this mechanical thing has happened to the actual foot. And so they aren't dealing with the true heel buttress. They're dealing with the false heel up here. And so the heel right here, it grows the sole, right? It grows the sole. So if this has all been pulled under and this is a false heel, you just got all this flaky junk right here, and you haven't got a true heel buttress that is connected to the true heel. And so the sole is not going to grow correctly under here by any shape of the imagination, because everything has a place and everything is connected to its place. And so you have your inner wall here that grows down, connects with the sole right here. And that's where it's supposed to be for the life of that horse. That's where it starts out. That's where it's supposed to end. Period. All right. And so it connects with the sole of that horse right there. And then they grow down to the ground together. The wall supports that sole. The wall must be connected with that specific piece of sole right there. And then grow down. Then you can have sole like this. You got a correct heel buttress that started here, connected to the back of the heel, connected to the sole in the heel right there, then grew down like that, supporting that sole. So when this is all, when these heel buttresses are trimmed out, say when the heel buttress gets trimmed out, like that. Okay, here's periople flap. This is 1 1/8 inch here, which is what was the Strasser measurement there? 3 cm. 1 1/8 inch is 3 cm. That's where she has people trimming their heels to, right here. Okay, so you pulled this down, you push that up, you force the wall now to go forward to where, like, just a minute, this wall now It isn't growing down and connecting to your sole right here and then growing down together. You forced it to go, you forced it to disconnect here, and now it's growing like this. See? It's no longer growing down here, connecting with the sole it's supposed to be growing to, and then growing and supporting that sole to the ground. So, and you noticed in that other foot, the toe was flared out like that, and the toe of the coffin bone here was forced down like that. So see, the capsule is no longer correctly, it does not have weight bearing equilibrium, is no longer in alignment with the parts it's supposed to grow from and connect to. See, everything has a place, everything has a way it has to work together on this foot. And so to have that, you have to have correct cartilage back here. It can't be pulled down. You have to have correct heel height here with a correct heel buttress here that supports the whole capsule, keeps all these horn tubules in alignment so they can start growing here where they're supposed to, connect with the piece of sole they're supposed to connect to, and grow to the ground together. So okay, how many know that when your heels are trimmed out, you can never get a clean white line in the quarter? It always seems like there's a dip there, or dirt, or separation. Well, this is why, because first of all, that heel being pushed up there, pushing the coffin bone up there, it's going to create a slight dip in the foot here, an arch. And that's why you always have people thinking that the horse has a natural arch here. Well, he doesn't have a natural arch. The foot got deformed from over trimming the heels and having all this mechanical structural stuff go on. Structural failure is what's going on. Anyway, so these are all these mechanical things that go on with these feet. And so this is what you are trying to correct on your foot, not just a capsule, but the internal anatomy has to move. And so it's a little bit capsule and a little bit trimming and a little bit growth and a little bit doing this, that, and the other thing here and there to facilitate release, to facilitate growth, to facilitate movement of the capsule. Then it moves, it releases the foot, then the foot is growing, begins to grow that capsule from a new position. And you go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth till you're reversing this damage that was done. And so, there are some kind of hard and fast rules here and there, but mostly it's going to be your understanding of looking at this foot, realizing that these horn tubules all have to be in alignment. This cartilage has to be released. This frog has to be released and come up the back of the foot, because, okay, when all this is pushed down under, what's happening to the frog in the frog state? Well, it's being pulled down and pushed that way. See? So you're reversing all this stuff for your horse. Okay, let's see here.
Linda, Eva
yeah?
here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but I'm not sure if I'm thinking correctly, but when will you have a straight hairline above the bulbs? I think that's the time when you can measure the height of the heels.
Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, if you look from the foot from the behind, a lot of them have the V dip, and then the heels are not correct. So when you measure the height of the heels, you are measuring them too early or too far to the front.
Well, you have to, you're still, you know, that's why we also measure into, that's one thing I wanted to say. I'm glad you brought that up because I saw a way maybe to help explain part of that, what you're talking about, measuring the heels. Because like if your heels are trimmed out and your cartilage is pulled in and your heels are here and
Yeah.
you have 2 inches, it's still not the true heels, is it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And so you have to learn to take pictures and look at the side of the foot, look at the back of the foot, see where the foot is. What kind of heels do you have? You know, now we want to keep them higher here anyway as possible so that we can get these, just a minute here, we can get these horn tubules instead of being like this as much as possible to kind of standing up,
Yeah.
you know, at a decent angle, kind of, so that they're not more at that angle, they're more kind of this angle.
Yeah.
But so in the back of the foot, see, it depends. Like some feet, this cartilage, it will get pulled down and the periople will just hold it there.
Yeah.
And the foot will stay bound. But some feet, the cartilage, it's under constant pressure to want to go back up to where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Just like, you know, your nose, if you smash it, wants to come back up. So some, you have to tell the difference. Is this a horse where the cartilage has been bound in and is holding? Or is this a foot where the cartilage has released and you just have either grown or stretched periopal skin that's covering that area there? Because you could have this much heel buttress, let's say, and well, I don't know about how to explain that. Just a minute. Let me undo this. Guys, that's such a hard one to explain. You could have not a lot of heel buttress, but you could have a lot of what you call it. Let me find a different drawing thing here. A lot of stretched periopal skin here.
Yeah.
See, now you see that periopal skin, how stretched that is? But where, look, here's the coronary band right here. And so there wouldn't be wall here per se. I don't know how to explain it.
You are not, it's not hard enough.
It's not hard enough. Anyway, some feet release, and when I find some examples, I'll show you. And so you could have very little heel and a lot of thick periopal skin, and you could still have 2 inches.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's still not heel.
Yeah, because we have also to measure the heels that we see.
Yeah, and looking at the collateral groove exit.
Yeah.
See, finding where the collateral groove exit, looking at the cartilage, looking at the hairline, looking at the bulb skin. See, there's all these different things you're looking at.
And if the horses have the rotated heels, or what you say.
Yeah.
These what people call trash, but no trash inside.
Okay. Let's see, I gotta start.
Because I'm thinking if you could have some document where you tick off, I can see this one, I cannot see this, I can see this, I cannot see this.
Yeah. Okay, you know, I'm going to start looking at pictures and making a file on that.
Yeah.
You know, that would be good. What's going on with this foot? Like
it was like the picture that was on the Facebook a couple of days ago from the movie.
Yeah.
That was a really good one.
Okay.
I thought it was on your website.
It might have been. Like, I probably.
It was a cut from the underside of the hoof, showing that the spoles, or what we were calling when it was turned inside at the heels.
Okay. I can't think of what it was right this second. I'm
I
having.
can check if it was on your
Okay.
side.
Yeah. Do. Okay. So. Okay, so anyway, the sole grows forward, but upright, vertical, angle down. This angle can change if the angle of the wall changes, making it grow more horizontal than vertical and thinning the sole. These sole tubules have to be supported by the wall. Otherwise, they collapse and run forward because they're soft. So you don't want them growing this way. You want them growing more vertical, not horizontal. See, all these things play into having decent sole in your horse's foot.
Linda?
Yeah?
It's Lisa. Hi. Sorry
Hi.
to interrupt again. Just coming back quickly to measuring the heel. If we measure the heel according to your guiding measurements from the exit of the collateral grooves, we will not be trimming out the heels probably. Is that correct? I can't hear you anymore, Linda.
Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I didn't hear anything of what you said after my question, so I assume you were talking.
Okay, well, I was getting ready to. Okay, so like on this foot, let me show you a couple pictures of it here. Let's go back. Okay, so pretty much I have it, the bottom of you see the difference in the bulb skin here? And then this is frog. You see that?
Yes.
So I want to know how long is my real heel? Or I mean, is the real wall here in this area? There's different things we're looking at here. Like, look at how this bends under the foot like that. See? So we know just from looking at that this foot is not totally correct yet, but a lot of times you're going to see this way under here. See? So that's one of the things you're looking at. Another thing is you want to know this wall from here to here, like from here to here. I know I got 2 inches, but from here where the periopal flap is, the top of the periopal flap, because it's a bottom, I probably got an inch, inch and a fourth maybe from here to here. See, so I've got pretty good heel in there. And if you look too in this horse, but then you have to be able to tell again, like I said, are these going to be real heels or are these heels that are actually further forward? You know, so you have to read your cartilages too. So
okay, so you can't really just say if you like on a heel that has stretched periopal skin covering the heels up, if you take it off and trim the frog up in the back, and you see the heels right down to the collateral groove exits. So you've cleaned that area all out, and say you would, in the end, I suppose the heel from that point up and also up to the hairline is about half and half. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah. In yeah, here it is. Sometimes it won't be if you've got a lot of heel trimmed out. You see horses with big bulbs,
Yeah.
real bulbous and a lot of skin here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then those are heels that have usually been trimmed out because see, a lot of times you'll have stretched periopal, or you could have periopal and then frog, but when it all dries, it all looks the same.
Mm-hmm.
You
But
know,
when you open it all up and trim everything up nicely and then measure from the collateral groove exits up to the end of the heel, but maybe more than you say on a pony, for example, if the whole heel from hairline to the end of the real heel buttress, when you have a correct one, is maybe yeah, half and half. So
yeah,
if you leave the heel, the false heel, from the collateral groove exit to the end of the heel, if you leave it a bit higher than half, then you should be on the safe side, and
yeah,
you'll probably not be trimming out the
yeah,
heel. Is that correct?
yeah. You won't be changing the angles,
Okay, and
and,
you
and
won't, even if you take half and keep it at that safe, for example, on a laminitic pony, they have a lot more growth than a normal
yeah,
foot. So if you would keep it at about half, not go less, but about half,
yeah.
then you should be on the safe side. Do you
I
think
think
that's correct?
so. I
Okay.
think so because you're keeping the heel elevated, so you're trying to keep that when you're keeping those horn tubules kind of at a different, steeper angle, then you're keeping that lamina and the inner foot kind of at the closer angle to where it would be if the foot was right as well. And so there's less chance of that of the hoof capsule pulling in a different direction.
Okay, I
You know,
understand. So if we stay at about half, yeah, then we should be on the safe side, and the real heel can grow in better and more correct. But it shouldn't get too much longer. For example, with a laminitic pony or horse, they grow so fast and high, but we
yeah.
should keep them at about half, or and not much more, probably.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
and sometimes on just a minute here, just a second. Sometimes on laminitic ponies, they're rotating, and that's why it seems to grow so fast. Because the foot's moving in the capsule. See, and pulling up.
Okay, yes, I understand. But
Okay.
we still have to take the heel down a bit, because otherwise they are walking too steep.
Mm-hmm.
We could try and keep the heels at about half. I think that should be about correct. Yes.
Yeah. I think so. You
Okay.
know.
No, that's fine. Thank you. Sorry for interrupting
No,
again. I just
please,
wanted
no,
to
Joe.
check.
I don't want anybody here to be sorry
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
interrupting. Okay.
Okay, so I
Okay.
think so before we get actually correct heels, and like you said before about this Strasser stuff, measuring 3 centimeters or however much from the hairline, but because you cannot rely on the hairline before you have correct heels, you should take the collateral groove exits
Yeah.
as a reference point, and then keep the heels from there at about half from the recommended, or recommended. I mean, you obviously have to look at what size horse you have, but about half for
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that Anna, the scout, whose horse's foot I share a lot, um, she did that. Her horse was really improving, and then she started mismeasuring, okay, without realizing it, and trimming the heels out again. And so then it was that wide bulb skin she mismeasured, instead of from really paying attention to this part of the foot. She was actually lowering her heels and didn't realize it. Um,
Yeah, because she was measuring from the hairline,
yeah,
probably. Yeah, which was distorted because it wasn't correct.
Yeah, exactly. And I can
Okay.
tell from the way you talk about it that you really understand and are seeing this.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to do this with my laminitic pony
Yeah.
as well. I really clean out the frog, right down to where I can see that the actual heel starts, where the collateral groove exit is, because all this stuff just grows in so large
Yeah.
amounts every time. And I mean, I start with the frog and really trim the frog little slices by slices until I can actually get down there. And when I see that I have reached the true collateral groove exit, then I can see then the difference. I can define and see what is what then, but you have so much material, so you just have to
Yeah,
layers.
I know what
And
you mean.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. So maybe that helps somebody as well now, just to know that before you have correct heels, you basically need to use the collateral groove exit as reference point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah,
Linda.
absolute. Yeah, thank you.
And Linda, my question was about the hairline. Should it be straight when it's relaxed? And how can I see the bulbs are relaxed?
The more correct your heels get, the straighter the hairline will be here.
This is what I thought, yes.
Yeah. Otherwise it'll be pulled down.
Yeah.
You know. Like this is a picture from, when was this? 11/30/19.
Yeah.
Of my horse's foot. So be interesting. I'm going to get a picture up here of what it looks like now, because he still had a lot pulled down in here, and periopal and everything. And so I'm going to get a picture here. We'll see what that looks like now. Just a second. Got to remember where it's at. Pictures. Oh, that ain't it. Oh, I don't think I have my pictures on here because I put the disc in my camera. So we'll have to look at that another time. But I know it's a lot different back here now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this other deal here.
Yep.
Okay, so just a second here. New share. Okay. So this is kind of has to do with it too. Again, measuring this collateral groove area. So what do I say here? This is the heel buttress wall and pillar of the heel of the hoof capsule. It supports and sustains the entire wall of the capsule and all the sensitive structures of the internal physical heel of the foot of the horse. See, you can see why this would have to have a specific makeup of support back here. How just this haphazard take the heels back to the base of the frog, or whatever, is not working. It says also note how in order to have sole you have to have heel buttress, which I was talking about, growing beyond and longer than just to the end of the inner foot. Again, this aerial shows where the periopal skin is, and from here to the end of the periopal skin is 1 1/8 inch. For some reason, it maintains that even when the heels are trimmed out, which is funny. And so Cheryl Henderson was, well, trimmed to the bottom of the periopal flap, it's always at 1 1/8 inch. And so they use that as a constant, but that didn't mean that your heels were right. Okay, as you can see, all right, if I trimmed this horse's heel to there, the 3 centimeters for the Strasser, you look what I would take off of that horse. See? And so the heels start to move this way, And as they do, it makes the toe look long. So they start taking the toe back, and then this is pushing up this way, pushing that back that way. And so the dorsal wall gets steeper, and they get a smaller foot that is super concave that they think is a natural foot. And it's just a distorted, deformed, torturous mess on the end of that horse's poor leg. Okay. Okay, here I show, see, that is periopal skin right there. And this would be, again, from here to here, 1 1/8 inch, or 3 cm, about 3 cm, Strasser time. Says, this is the periopal skin that covers the back of the heel, often called the bulb of the heel. This skin ends right at the bottom of the internal physical heel. See that? How close it is? So it's a pretty good marker. Okay, so, because see, this is the flap. See, you got the periopal skin, then you got the flap. Okay, the flap, if I remember right, was 1 1/8 inch. So right here, okay, you're just barely to the end of the heel there. Okay. Okay, so your bulb skin is right in here, right about there. I don't know. This was I'm getting different ideas about bulb skin now than I had here. But here, I wanted to define what you're seeing here. This would be what is it? The end of the coronary band, right about here. And actually, I've seen some, let's see, that go like this. Just a second here. That go clear out like this. So you see this area right here? That would be all that grew heel buttress there. So you see that little flap there, that's pretty easy to kind of pull down and bend down under here. Well, then anytime you bend, cover anything up, it doesn't grow anymore. So you can, once this is bent under, it's not going to grow the actual heel buttress itself. Okay, number 2 is where I have it here, is where the coronary band, it turns and ends as a band, and it goes, okay, it's going under the foot here. It's going around under the back of the foot here and turns into the bar and goes up that way. And then right here, this little stuff here, that's a frog corium that you could see in there. So those are the different parts. See, a lot going on back there, kind of busy, you know? And so we need to know and understand all these parts. Let's see. Okay, anatomy of the bulb. Okay, so I have that same thing here. I said on here, because like, when did I do this? This was in 2016 I made these. And it says, have you been trimming your horse down to the nubbin? If you go out and look at your bulbs and your bulbs are sitting close to the ground, you have little to no sole, and your horse is basically walking on his frog corium and collateral cartilages. So yeah, back here. All right, well, that's pretty much the end of that. Let me see if there's anything else here we need to look at. Probably not. You know, here you see you know, I made some examples of heel buttresses, different kinds of heel buttresses, what happens. But this was when I was first trying to figure it out. So I'm not sure. I don't think this one is right. I don't think there's any heel buttress here at all. I think it's like down here. You know, I thought this white was wall, but I don't think that's wall. I think that's bulb skin right there. So this horse here would have, it's walking on its bulbs. It would have no hardly heel buttress at all. Again, look at the heels. Look how they're pushed up like that. The bulb is pulled down, pushes the literal heel up like that. Okay. And look how the toe wants to flare. See? Here's an interesting one. Okay, look at how the coronary band has been totally, I think what I'm seeing there, oops, wait a minute. Just a second here. Let me annotate. I think what I'm seeing here is, okay, the coronary band is literally bent under here. Like that. See there? So that the actual buttress should have been growing from this area here. If it would have been back here like it's supposed to be. See? Let me undo a couple things here. Where are we at? So, but this is the back of the coronary band, which would have been, you know, if it was out here, would have been right in here, this area. Now it's bent totally under the foot and it's growing this little piece here, this little funky piece here. But the real heel buttress is, our heel buttress corium is like right in here. Let me do this here. Wait a minute. Right in here. This is where the actual, say, hoof wall that should be growing back here is, because like I said, when this stuff gets bent under or covered over, it quits growing. See, it's interesting to come back and visit things that you haven't looked at for a long time. Just like over here. Okay, I do not believe this here is heel buttress. See, I was trying to figure out where the heel buttresses were before. I think, if anything, you might have a little chunk here. You know, but I don't even know if that's it. You know, this I think is just pure bulb right here. So anyway, yeah, as you learn more and you see, always go back. You know, people always, I ask people sometimes if they've read this or done that or seen that. Oh yeah, I saw that. Oh yeah, I read that. And like they know it. What I've found is if you're going to really understand stuff, you have to go back again and again, even to stuff that you think you know. Because what happens is you learn stuff in the meanwhile. And so then when you go back to something that you've already looked at or thought you knew or something like that, you see it in a whole new light. Like, I haven't looked at these really very close for maybe, well, let's see, I made them in 2016. So for at least 4 or 5 years. So now to go back and look at them again, I'm seeing that I wasn't seeing things right because there were things I didn't know. First of all, I didn't understand how the foot was hoof bound at all. Okay, I didn't understand any of this yet. Okay, now this is hoof bound. You see how everything's pulled down and folded under the foot there? And then this just the opposite here. Horse is totally on his bulbs. I didn't know that the heels were pushed up, like what I was telling you today. I didn't understand that. When I look at this, I would not have understood this, or that the cartilage was bound. So then once you learn all that and then you go back, you see things in a whole new light. See, now, from what we're talking about today, you'll be able to look at things and see them also in a different light, because you've maybe learned some details. See? Let's see. Clear. Okay, well, all right. Anyway, let's see. Let's get out of there. Now, the problem I have today is that I can't get on our group pages. I wanted to go through different posts of different people's horses' hooves, but I can't get on the group pages on this computer because it decided not to let me on. So well, heck, even if you sent me pictures, I wouldn't be able to get them. I'm going to have to get my computer fixed this week. So anyway, darn, I wanted to do some evaluations. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's still not going to let me on face. I can't even get on Messenger. So nobody can send me pictures. So I really can't do anything. So I'm just going to open the floor, I guess, and see if there's some questions or some area of the anatomy or something in trimming or something here, there, or yon that somebody wants to talk about, or something that you have that you would like to share. So I'm just going to kind of open the floor and let whoever wants to ask questions or something like that. Well, yeah. Okay. We could do that.
I have a question.
Okay.
It's just actually to the group, that to everyone. I tried the casting and the using the dental impression material on that horse that actually Linda, you talked about her, the one that had the vaccinations, the trauma, like the physical injury.
Yeah.
And then the underrun, and she's not doing great. And the owners, like, I mean, they know about TAC, and just need a little bit more of a push, I guess, because I said, I'm not your trimmer. I can only tell you what we know or what Linda knows and shares. And anyway, so they watch your videos and stuff like that, but they haven't joined. And that needs to be the next push. But I am still trying to help this horse as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I said, you got to give her support. So I showed them, I know how to cast, but I've never done casting with dental impression material.
Yeah.
And it was actually kind of funny because I thought, okay, I put a big wad of it on, and I tried the casting where you throw the cast. I have like a 1-inch cast. So I did that first around kind of her half sole, half the wall, and to hold the dental impression material in. And then I put her foot down. Well, it
just squirted out.
It sure did. So I just went back to the other. I used a little bit less dental impression material, and I cast it the way I was familiar with.
Good.
And used a 2-inch, and it worked out fairly well. But she was slightly better in her motion after, but she's really not. I'm not seeing 100% comfort.
Yeah.
So to me, she needs more cushioning.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any ideas of how you can use the dental impression material, get it really thick on her sole? Not really thick. I mean, even like, a 1/4 of an inch would be awesome, or half an inch on the bottom, totally on the bottom, her sole, paddle grooves, everything, the frog, and get it to hold its shape, cast it, and then when you put the foot down, that it doesn't all squirt out.
I'm thinking.
I see some say let it set for a little bit, maybe for like a minute, the dental impression material, and then put like, you know, wax paper or something on it and flip the foot over, but it's still going to squish out. And the casting isn't set enough to hold it in place.
How long does it take to set up?
Very quick. When I had the owner do 1 foot, and for the dental impression material?
Yeah.
Oh, it's, man, I'm thinking about the time, pliable 3 to 5 minutes after you've made it.
Okay.
And the casting, actually, she was running into problems that the casting was drying before she was actually done wrapping. So,
okay. I can give you a hint there.
Okay, go ahead.
You wrap it dry and then you wet it.
Of course. And
yeah, that works real good. And then
that'll hold the shape.
Yeah.
For the dental impression material.
Then for the dental impression material, I would get a shoe.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would get some, I would either get a little duct tape or I would get some vet wrap, and I would adhere the shoe
Yep.
to somehow to the foot, and then I would fill the foot with the dental impression and take one of those meat things.
Oh yeah, the tenderizer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or not the tenderizer, the package, the styrofoam package.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And I would put that over it, and then I would wrap it with some vet wrap or something to hold it together, and set the foot down and let it totally cure.
Yep. Perfect.
And then you could take it and put it on the foot and do the cast and all that. That might work.
That sounds good, because that's what I mean. Most of the dental impression work you see being done is with a shoe. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll give this a shot. And I know it was talked about last week, and so it didn't work out as well as I think it can. And that's what you've said is, I think that would work, to have a shoe. It doesn't matter if the shoe fits or not, right? It's just a shoe to hold, to make a barrier for the dental impression material. And then you can put the weight. So it'll be, then when you take the shoe off, you're going to have this lip, which you're just going to fill all in with casting material.
Yeah.
So, and then wrap the whole foot. Okay.
Yeah, I think that would work. I think I tried
you.
something similar to that one time.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was gonna go. Also, there's a lot of casting stuff on YouTube.
Yes, I did see that, but it's not with the dental impression. I'm not seeing so much on that end. On using casting and dental impression material.
One question.
Risa.
Hi.
Hello.
How did you cast? Did you cast the whole bottom of that foot? Or
I did.
Not? You did.
I did. Yeah.
And everything came squashing out. There's not much depth to that sole bowl type of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So everything just squishes out. So you're sitting with a thin layer of the dental impression material.
Yeah. So I think she needs a lot more.
So
I think it was my mistake, because I tried just a wrap. I put the dental, when I did the really thick one where I had it like, I don't know, probably, I want to say it wasn't half an inch, but a quarter of an inch, let's say, that I had all over the bottom. And then I wrapped it with, I had a 1 inch vet wrap, or a 1 inch casting material, because I just wanted to make a lip, and I made the lip kind of to hold the dental impression material there and to keep it on her foot. And then when I flipped it over, that thin casting, although it stuck, Like it didn't kind
Yeah.
of blow apart, but the dental impression material just pushed it. Like she had these big bulges.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So I think
Some
and
of it's got to squeeze out so it moves and
Yes.
fills the voids under
Yeah.
the whole foot.
Yeah.
But what I see your problem is, you're not getting fair enough thickness underneath the foot. Is that
Yes.
what I
Yeah.
okay. Now I'm gonna give you a little advice. I mean, the idea that Linda's got might work as well. I mean, I haven't tried it, but I mean, it might work with a shoe and then cast over that
Mhm.
or something like that. The other thing that I have done is what I've done is I've taken a 3-inch casting tape, and then I taped the foot and I cast it. First, I cast the whole foot, like just the perimeter. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So,
Yep.
so under the foot, you're just gonna have like probably a lip right around the whole foot.
Yes. Like where a shoe would go,
like
like you almost.
yeah, like you would,
Yes.
like you would do a normal casting.
Yep.
And once the casting has set, okay, that's because when you keep doing that and you're actually building up underneath that foot, okay.
Yep.
So you're gonna get at least probably could be half an inch. And then
Oh, yeah.
when it's dry, you can take your knife and start just like you would pare out the sole.
Yep. Yep.
But you're just paring out the thickness underneath the foot from the from the casting.
Yes.
So you're going to sit with a situation where you've got a rim
Yep.
on the foot that is slightly longer than the actual hoof wall.
Yeah.
So
Totally can picture that.
Yeah, then you're going to have a little bowl that you can then stick and fill with dental impression material.
Yep.
And then wrap it, with another cast.
Another cast. That's perfect. Yep.
So then you'll have a little bit more depth underneath the thickness of your dental impression material pad will be slightly thicker.
Yes, sure will. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that because I've done those rim casting before, where I've just done like where the shoe would be type thing.
Yeah.
And then it actually did it. It raised this horse's foot, so the sole wasn't on the ground, and they got comfort from that. But this horse is worse, is a more severe case. So I think she definitely, because would you think that she should be walking not sound but very much improved?
Look,
after she's casted,
I've done it on a horse that the horse couldn't stand. I had to sedate the horse to actually lift the foot up so I can cast it.
Yes.
And as soon as I cast it and everything, I cast the one foot, she actually gives me the other foot. And then I did the other foot, and she walked off perfectly. No, I wouldn't say normal, but I mean, for her, it's a big improvement. And I left the cast on for about 4 weeks, and it was almost ready to fall off itself. But this horse was moving beautifully.
Yeah.
So I brought it back and took the cast off and redid the dental impression material and trimmed, obviously, and redid the dental impression material and casting. And I left it for another 4 weeks. And then I took it off completely because everything settled, because the horse was on medication to regulate its hormones and stuff, because it had a hell of a lot of things going on, Cushing's and EMS and the whole tutti. So that cast and dental impression material stabilized that foot and gave us some comfort to basically get through the period of what she needed to do to correct the metabolic issue. Not correct, but keep it get it under control. So there's no more inflammation and episodes in the foot. So by the second time I took it off, and the horse is now walking without it, and he's running and galloping around. And this thing was bad. I mean, this horse is bad. I mean, there was instances where the vet said, touch and go. If it doesn't work, it's going to be put down. So I said, no, give her a chance. And now she's moving perfectly fine, and she's doing perfectly well, and she's got no casts on. But I mean, the feet is not looking great. I mean, from the time I saw it till now, it's looking a hell of a lot better. But I mean, it's not great, but she's moving nicely. She's running around, enjoying life. So, the feet will grow out,
this horse is in a lot of discomfort. Even if you've seen those videos, I don't know whether you saw the horse that Linda commented on, that she's still walking very ouchy.
But
And
now,
I just, so,
the
pardon?
medication, sorry, the medication that she's on, is she on stuff to regulate or try and get rid
Nothing.
of it?
She's on nothing now.
You see, that's the biggest problem.
Yep,
You know, I
because they're,
understand laminitis is in the feet, but we cannot take it out and fix it. The body's got to fix that. So we can
Yes.
only offer support and stabilize the issue until the body is ready to fix it. And the only way it's going to be ready to fix problem like that, you've got to get the metabolic syndrome under control. And if, as long as that's not under control, what's going to happen is whatever you're doing to stabilize it, the body's going to destabilize it. So you're going to be in a constant vicious circle where you're fighting to stabilize something which the body doesn't want to stabilize because it's still fighting with itself. You know, I mean, the problem is once they've gone over that threshold where laminitis has set in, there's a whole lot of things that's going to be walked back before you can get to a stabilization process where you can then just work on the feet. But got to get, you got to get the hormones right. You got to get the blood sugars and insulins and that type of thing balanced. So what happens is, and also try and keep the inflammation under control by giving some anti-inflammatories to help with the pain relief. So the problem with pain in the horses, when a horse has pain, what happens is, besides insulin spikes and all of that, the problem is that inflammation in itself causes stress, and the stress causes problems in your hind gut, which then makes your feet toxic. So it's a constant cycle. So you're never going to get rid of the problem by just addressing the feet. You know, I know where we see the problem, but the root cause of the problem is in the body. And until you actually address that cause, you can only stabilize the feet until the root cause is now starting to dissipate or balance out, and then the foot will start stabilizing because you're supporting the foot and getting the foot ready. All right. So eventually the foot will start regrowing, because I mean the hoof grows from the hairline down to the weight bearing edge in about a year, you know. So you've got a year to get a better hoof, let's put it that way. But you're not addressing the root cause of it. You're going to keep on having occurrences, you're going to keep on having inflammation, you're going to keep on having hind gut issues, you're going to keep on having toxicity in the horse, and you're just going to go in a vicious circle. You're trying to fix the feet, nobody's trying to fix the body. I mean, it's never going to work, let's put it that way. So it's got to be work in unison.
The whole package, right?
Yeah, look, I mean, if the horse has got Cushing's, I would prescribe Pergolide to regulate that. And I mean, look, the problem with these things is, once the metabolic issue becomes so out of whack, these drugs don't really work or have a good effect anymore. And once that point is reached, the horse is constantly sore. I mean, it doesn't matter if you give it what type of painkiller, it just cannot handle the pain. So it just creates more problems for itself. So in any case of laminitis, if it before it sets in, you can still regulate and do things and stabilize whatever. But once it's already set in, there's a whole lot of cascade of things that happens after that once it's set in. So you've got to walk all that back before you can get any stabilization in the feet. And besides now your casting, dental impression material, shoeing, whatever the case may be. But you've got to get rid of the problem or try and regulate the problem that's causing it.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
For sharing that. Thank you.
So I would, if I was you, I don't know if these people do tests on their horse, but I don't really like the test, because a test tend to give you false information, and sometimes it leads people to believe, oh no, my horse is not Cushing's, but all the physical signs on the horse is there, like the fatty bumps, the cresty neck, the overweight horse that's always hungry, you know, that type of thing. And if he's got all those symptoms, it doesn't matter what the test says. Put him on the Pergolide, get him on metformin to regulate the insulin, and then from there Also, then he's got to be on an anti-inflammatory to basically take some of the pain, give him some pain relief, and then you stabilize the feet with the dental impression material and cast. And I would say within 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to see a big difference in the horse.
Awesome.
You know, and you should definitely see a big difference in the horse. And that's what most of laminitis cases I work on. I see big differences within 3 weeks of the horse. Yeah, of doing or getting these things right. And the problem is, if you don't, people's gonna say, oh yeah, your cast didn't work. But he's not gonna say, oh well, I didn't do anything for the horse's body to help it along either. So
yeah,
you know,
this is a strange case with there's just history with other horses with these owners, and they're actually really in a little bit of, I don't want to say denial, but they're not accepting that this horse is very seriously compromised in its foot. And so they're just thinking it's a shoulder issue and having massage done. Yeah, and that's what I said. You need to, because you can just actually, I took pictures, and it's almost nauseating because you can just see how her capsules just
because they're looking for problems that's not there. But the problem that's staring them straight in the face, they cannot see that. I mean, that drives me nuts.
Or don't want to see it. I think they hear that word and they're. But I said the thing is,
the thing is, I mean, these people obviously they love their horse, and is the horse overweight? Let's put it that way. First and foremost.
A little bit, not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah, a little bit too much. Yes, they have restricted her feed, but it was an interesting one with that one. She had the trauma to her front feet where she pulled back. She went underneath a fence type thing, I'll say, and pulled back and got her front feet hooked underneath one of the big rubber mats. And they didn't see it there, but they know there was a significant trauma by the kind of the mess that was left after. And then she had 5 vaccinations, 3 spots the next day, and then walked out of the stall stiff after the vaccinations, and has just gone downhill. So the vet diagnosed sole bruising, and then came back and said her shoulder are torn muscles in her shoulder. So they've been working on massage. I know. And then when I went to see her, and it's not, like I said, I'm not a professional farrier. I said, these feet, this looks laminitic. This is a laminitic walk your horse is doing. I kept saying. So anyways, I just want to try and help the horse right now. And I said, like, you got to, I don't care if you just even cast, you must support this foot, because so, and then I said about like we talked last week, and I said, okay, let's fire up some dental impression material. But we did get a thin layer on the one foot. But I love that idea. I can totally build a rim. I know how to do that one. And then put the dental impression on there, kind of let it set, flip it over, like with you mentioned, and Linda did too, the styrofoam piece. And let it set, bring it back up, and then cast the whole foot over again with another cast. That'll work perfectly, because I bet you I could get, like I said, at least a 1/4 inch. Maybe I could even get half inch.
If you get half an inch of sole underneath the artificial soft ball, you're gonna give that also a lot more support and
I think if the horse could say thank you, she'd be saying thank you. So that's So I'm gonna pass that on, and maybe we'll give that a shot.
But the big important thing is seeing that the horse is overweight, and this horse is probably hungry all the time. I mean, I can tell you that if a horse has got Cushing's, the first thing they do is they just want to eat all the time.
Yes. Yep.
You know, and just restricting the diet is not really helping either, because the horses got to nibble to basically get the gut flora in sync, you know. So you can't just take everything away either, because then you're going to cause other issues. So the lowest grade of hay that they can get, they can feed it in a very slow feeder with small holes, so that makes the horse work for its food, so she takes much longer to eat the food. The other thing is they've got to get got to get that Cushing's and insulin resistance hit it hard with pergolide and metformin and that type of thing. Because if you don't, you prolonging the issue. You know what I'm saying? And the
Yes.
more you prolong it, the more it gets out of whack. The more everything starts to basically, and then the horse just gets another cascade, and everything falls to pieces again. So you
Yes.
don't want to reach that stage. You
Piece
want
of
to
straw.
start. Yeah, you want to. Yeah, exactly. You don't want to get that last bit of straw that broke the camel's back. So
Yeah.
in that way, I think just try and get them to medicate this horse to get
Mhm.
things moving in the right direction. Obviously, the diet has been changed, stuff has been changed, but they need to hit those type of issues hard.
Yes.
I mean, look, there's a lot of herbal stuff that works, but herbal stuff eventually takes a little bit longer. So you need the relief now. So you eat it hard now, and then you can still put it on the herbal supplement while it builds up in the body. The you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's
Yep.
one of those things that you gotta treat immediately. I mean,
Yes.
like you said, it had vaccinations, and this was probably the cause of it. Probably tipped the whole scale. The horse was
Yep.
probably borderlining on Cushing's and insulin resistance, whatever the case is. And what happens is with the vaccinations, something in the body went wrong, and everything, the whole scale just got tipped over the
Yep.
edge, and that's when the whole cascade happened and the whole
Yep.
laminitis issue started.
Hmm.
Because I mean, there's a lot of things like things like cortisone. If you give a horse that's borderlining and you give it cortisone, it can have a big effect and cause laminitis immediately, like in a day.
Wow. Well, this one happened fast. And I can't
Yeah.
believe the stretch periopal and the changes in the tubule direction and
It
how
happened
quickly
quickly.
the foot
I've
fell
seen it
apart.
happen within a day or two. You
It
know,
was
and a
like,
a
oh
horse that
my,
got given cortisone, and boom, it straight away. It was like sore the next, not even the
yeah,
next day, like and the night after the night it was given in the morning. By the evening the horse was sore, and the
hmm
next morning the changes in the feet was big,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it's one of those
well,
things where something just
yeah,
tips that little scale, just tip it in the wrong direction,
yeah,
and you have a cascade of things happening, and then you sit with a big problem. And
yep,
now the problem is a lot of people address the immediate thing, which is the feet, which should be addressed. But the most important other thing is the cascade that already happened. Stop the cascade before
yes.
you're going to see any changes in the feet.
Hmm. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Hope you have success with that. I mean, yeah, I really hope so.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, so Riza, how's your week been?
Hi, you're saying?
I said, how has your week been?
It's been slow, but it's okay. I don't mind.
Did you get a
It's been.
revisit to the racehorse yet?
I was supposed to go there today, but I just got word that they are sending it to a farm where I work at for a bit of a rest because they just wanted to get a bit of a break and just recoup and try and basically get things that's bothering her out of the way before they take her back in. So
Oh,
she's
so
moving to the farm, I think tomorrow or the day after,
uh-huh.
and then I'll be seeing her there. So I was
Oh,
gonna go there. I was gonna go there this morning, but then they phoned me and said, "Look, don't bother. The horse is going to the farm where I work at, so I
oh, well,
will be
that's
seeing
good.
her." Yeah.
Yeah,
So
give
that
her a break.
yeah, look, maybe it's a good thing to give her a break, and then now I can have a better chance of working and doing things on her feet, and because I know she's going to be just resting.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Because I was actually hoping to get to it today, but unfortunately that didn't happen.
Okay. Well, let us know.
Yeah, I'll take pictures of everything, and I will post it, or I'll send it to you so you can have a look and do a discussion on it on the Hoof
Okay.
chat.
Yeah, that'd be great. Um,
Yeah.
okay. You got anything else? Oh, go ahead, somebody.
Eva here. I had a question for Risa. You were told me that I should get Equinox 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, but have you any pictures of what you are doing with its stuff?
So again, do I have?
Have you any pictures of what you're doing with this stuff? How it looks on the hoofs?
Yes, I do. But like Linda said, I mean.
Well, I can't share anything because
yeah,
I don't have Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay. Who am I speaking to? Who am I speaking to? Sorry.
Eva Sund.
Eva Sund. Okay. I tell you what you do. Send me a Facebook request. I don't know if I've got you on my friends list, but then I'll accept it and I'll send you the pictures and videos directly, and you can see. You know.
Yeah, I think we are friends on Messenger.
Is it okay? Fine. That's great. Then I'm going to send it to you on Messenger. You can have a look at the videos, and you can see the product that I've got and what I'm using and the packaging, so you know what to look for when you go and buy the stuff.
Yeah.
I should put it all together in a post and put it on one of the pages, you know, so everybody
that'd
can.
Be great.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too, and that's another good idea. Yeah. So let me take a chance to make a. I think maybe I'll do that on the weekend, and I'll do a post on the uses and how to use how to how to video on this stuff. So a lot of people that has questions can just refer back to the video and then see, you know, what they can do to help.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, great. Yeah. Thank you.
I've been toying with another idea, especially with horses with these issues. I've been playing around with a piece of leather, which I want to, instead of using the polystyrene, I'd like to put a piece of leather underneath it with little few holes drilled in, just so the dental impression material can squeeze through and basically adhere to the leather. So then after that, just trim the leather or file it or whatever the case may be, and then cast over that. I mean, it's just another idea, because the leather that I've got is quite thick. It's about 5 mil thick, so, and it's quite rigid. So with the dental impression material and this more rigid leather underneath would also help cushion a lot of blows from the bottom. I mean, just another idea that I've been working on. I have done it with one horse, but I've used the shoe in that case, and it worked very well because the feet changed immensely, and the horse is doing so well. So yeah, that's another idea that I'm toying with.
Now, doing what with the leather again? Making like a leather pad?
Yes. Basically that. You know, you can buy these leather pads, but like I said, what I do is I take the leather pad and I drill a couple of holes in them. So when you do put the dental impression material down and you put the leather pad and leather will stand on it, a little bit of the dental impression material will squeeze through the holes and flatten on the other side. So it basically glues or rivets the leather onto the dental impression material that is now attached to the hoof. And then if you then cast over that, you've got a lot more protection underneath that foot.
Well, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, I tried it. I did.
Again.
So I think they do that. Is it Epona shoes, or which shoes are they have like a blue mesh on the bottom, and they have the holes in them. And it would squish through it. That would be that sounds awesome.
Yeah, they do have it with some. Look, a lot of some of the horses that I do, I use a pad and a shoe with a wide bar across and drill holes in it, and then with a dental impression material. And the one horse that I did with a complete leather pad underneath with a couple of holes drilled in it, and the dental impression material just like basically seeps through there and causes like it's almost like almost like rivets, if you can call it that, you know, like it squashes on the other side, so that the leather stays in place and stuff like that. So it keeps on. It's used as a protection under the foot as well.
Yeah, so that's fantastic.
Then cast it, and then you've got a lot more protection underneath there, you know. I mean, it's just another idea. So, I mean,
I like it. I look forward to that video.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to do a video on that. I'll have to do a video on that as well. I haven't made a video of it, but I've got some pictures. I think that I did also the shoe on with that. And I've got some other videos where I've got a bar shoe with the dental impression material. And I've got just the straight casting dental impression material. So look, on a Nabonite course, some of it doesn't look very nice. So we have to do what we have to do to get those well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Does anybody else have anything they want to ask Riza? Okay. Do you have anything else? Oh, go ahead.
Hi, sorry. I have a question. It's Tiffany. Can you go back to the fair use photos, I think from Pete Ramey, where you showed the pedal bone or the coffin bone outlined, and it was at a slight angle, tipped forward?
Yeah. Yeah, just a second. I'll find it.
Can I hypothesize while you look for that image why?
Sure.
Okay. So you asked earlier, why do tennis sneakers have a higher heel than regular, right? So the athlete in me wants to say, in the ready position, we're on our toes, because kind of like a prey animal, like a horse, we have to be ready to run. Say I'm playing tennis, I'm receiving. So I'm wondering if the pitch of the coffin bone is because Mother Nature said, you're a prey animal, you have to be ready to run. Let's go.
Man, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that just makes total sense.
Yeah, it does, because if you think about it, the underside of the coffin bone that's now slightly elevated in the rear of the foot is attached to that lunar crest at the underside, is attached to your strongest digital flexor tendon, the deep digital flexor tendon, which is responsible for movement.
Yeah, in fact, I have another picture I'll show you, where I did a dissection, and I have, you can see the coffin bone in there at an angle. Well, and here, look in this foot here too. Just a minute. Now this is another, just a second here. New share. Okay, this is another wild horse foot of Pete Ramey's, where he didn't take, the foot wasn't cut in half, but all the tissue and the other half of the soft tissue was taken off here on the left, right here. And you can see the angle of the coffin bone, like what you're saying. Okay. And then down here, okay, this is at some barefoot class somewhere. And it says, I found this on the web. And this was a horse, you can see where the hairline, well, that wouldn't make much difference. I guess the foot is, well, yeah, because the hair is not supposed to be clear down here. It's supposed to be clear up here. See, and so this foot would have been distorted. This would have had a either a negative, because they call this the Palmer angle, the angle of the coffin bone right here, the Palmer angle. And so a positive Palmer angle is when the wings of the coffin bone are elevated above the toe, like what you see here. Ground parallel would be like so. Just a minute here, do an annotate. There we go. Draw. Okay, so this is positive angle. This is ground parallel, and negative is when it's like this. And so you can see that this is positive. Now this horse here would have had either a ground parallel or even a negative right here. Also had no frog. Look at the frog. See, all that we know when we talk about how the whole back of the foot is pulled down and under. See, this is frog stay up between the bulbs, lifting this area right here should be clear up here. It's been literally pulled down in the foot like this. But this is what is taught as healthy in barefoot classes. But yet they say that those trims are based on the wild horse model. Well, here's a perfectly wild horse foot, but it's just like what you say. Look at the angle, and this was a front foot. Look at the angle. So on its toes, ready to take off. Plus the braking, just the way it is with the braking and the digging off. Like I noticed in footprints out here, literally the horse even walking in the mud, the toes, the foot lands almost flat, but then the toe literally digs into the dirt so that the prints are on a slant like this in the mud. So anyway, let me see if I got some other pictures here.
The heel height also correlates to the angle in that if you actually like consider the hollowness of the coffin bone, that coffin bone is slanted too far forward or tipped too far backwards. There's nothing in the toe to support it. So without the heel, the breakover is extended far too long, you know, which is going to deform the tip of the coffin bone, right?
Yeah.
Or force it to fall through the sole, or, you know, mutated in some way that just isn't going to support the foot at all.
Yeah.
So it's great, Linda. The more we do this, the more I understand what's actually going on and the way stuff is going to be. So thank you again.
Yeah, me too, dear. You know, every time I do one of these, I learn something, you know.
Well, I love the way they call it a coffin bone because it's more like specialized cartilage than it is a bone.
It's definitely different.
It's porous. It has no bone marrow.
Yeah.
You know, a bone has marrow to it.
Yeah, it doesn't have marrow, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It's spongy. It's spongy.
It's essentially hollow.
Yeah.
I mean, the shape of it, the cup of it. So it's all interesting.
Okay, here's some on the dissection I did. Just a second here, new share. Okay, this was kind of an old well, the foot was getting old, and so I painted it. You know, it was getting old and decrepit, and so I painted it. So this is actually paint. And I was really interested in where does the coffin bone end, which they call the end of the Palmer process, I believe, because I remember this one gal getting all over me about how I didn't know nothing and didn't know where the end of the Palmer process was and everything like that. She showed a foot where she cut a knife into a foot right there, and stuff. But anyway, so when she was getting all over me, I was like, had to know, well, what is she talking about and where does that mean now? So you see here, this is all cartilage here. Now this foot is bent down like we don't want, because this is the foot I was trimming the heels out of and stuff. But look at the coffin bone. It's at an angle. Look at the sulcorium, how it goes back to here, how it gets thicker as it goes back towards the heel. And then back here, it's all just cartilage. It's a type of cartilage. The heels are cartilage. Well, covered with this spongy, you know, stuff of the sulcorium and lamina and all that. But it's like, it's wobbly and firm at the same time, like a Dr. Scholl's gel pad almost. So anyway, here you see kind of a lot of things. I wanted to know, where is the coffin bone compared to the sole corium, again, which is cartilage itself, compared to the coffin bone. And this shows you how much thicker. And then this heel, I wish it was a better picture. This heel, here, you can see it. It's a big chunk of cartilage here. The heel of the horse. So you see, there's this debate over whether the coffin bone is ground parallel. Well, I'm telling you, there is no more debate. They may not know it, but I know for a fact that in these feet, if they are anatomically correct and the heels weren't trimmed out and crushed, because remember, this piece of cartilage here, as the heels are trimmed out and the cartilage back here, collateral cartilages and bulb and coronary band is pulled down like this, it pushes this heel up. See? And so it also crushes this heel so that it will be level, and it lowers, well, it can push the coffin bone up, but can also make it flat here to where you're forcing it to be ground parallel. So you're crushing the heels. Anyway, is that enough there, Tiffany, or do you want me to go to them other pictures too?
No, I'm satisfied. Thank you.
Okay, I think your analogy and interpretation is right on.
Yay,
You know,
thank you.
yeah, it was awesome. You know, always on their toes, ready to run at a moment's notice. You know, and you even think of athletes when they're getting ready to run a race. What do? They get down and they get those toes. You know, how they get their toes pointed, kind of, whatever they call that when they crouch down. On your mark, get set, go.
Yeah, they're on their toes. That's right.
Yeah, they're on their toes. Man, that was awesome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You see how important it is for us all to contribute to this. See, everything adds. You just added to my understanding there. You know, I mean, I could understand. You know, I could see the foot, you know, going into the mud at an angle and all these prints. But, you know, that analogy of the athlete, I had no idea about that. That's awesome. Okay, does anybody have anything else that they'd like to talk about, or any comments about this? Anything they see, any ideas you've had, anything?
There was just some bad news from Tokyo about a South Africa, just talking about this piece of straw, right? And that, Linda, how important it is that you never stop doing what you're doing, because a horse just foundered in South Tokyo, or in Tokyo, sorry, from South Africa. Dressage rider, horse was fine one day, next day a little bit ouchy, and he actually foundered. And you're like, there's no way, there had to be something going on. And it's just, you know, those horses that I think about that, you know, could, if that horse had a good sound foot.
Yeah, well, over time, the farrier has been slowly forcing frog contact, because see, this BS is going all over that they gotta have frog contact. Slowly over time, he's been pulling the back of that foot down, down, down. Finally, the horse's foot couldn't stand it anymore, and poof, mechanical laminitis.
Yep.
I know that's what it is.
I want to see its feet.
Yeah.
It sounds bad, but I hope they have good care there. But I really kind of want to see.
Well, their good care don't mean nothing, because there's so much error in their care. What?
Pardon?
Have you got pictures of this horse's feet?
No, it just says, it goes on about what founder is and laminitis, and
Yeah, I saw that on the
And-
news
and
as
the-
well about the girl that now
Oh,
is not in the
Seymour.
Olympics.
Yes. Yes.
She's out of the Olympics because a horse suddenly came down with laminitis.
Yeah,
Yes.
suddenly.
Suddenly.
I mean, first and
Yeah.
foremost, this horse was in full training. He was
Yep.
in full fitness. So this horse was exercised. I
Yeah.
mean, it was fed properly, it was looked after properly. So something went wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The
over a
farrier
long period of
went
time,
wrong.
over a long period of time, you know.
Mhm.
That's the
And
farrier.
Yeah.
Now, not necessarily. Those competition horses have to have a lot of vaccinations. They've been
Yeah,
flooded.
well,
That's the other thing I
They've
was
had
just going to
so
say.
much stress in their life, it's not even funny. So
Yeah.
it's hard to, you
That-
can't just
well,
That's
point the
exactly
finger
what
to barrier.
I can too.
Well, you
I
can,
can
but that doesn't,
too. I
you
can
can't, but
too.
that doesn't mean you're right.
I know it may not mean I'm right, but I know I'm right.
Okay.
I know
I
I'm right.
know.
The same reason all them horses are dying at Santa Anita, because some
Yeah, we
some
just
jerk
recently
off
had
there
one die here
has
too.
been
It's really
trimming the
a
heels
shame.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, and plus, see this crap of Dr. You know who, okay, that's going around that you have to have frog contact. Okay. Yeah. See, all this barefoot BS is killing horses. Okay.
Yeah, but
Killing 'em.
most dressage horses are shod. Most dressage horses
Yeah.
aren't bare feet. They
Okay, I
still
wanna
have
show you
they
something.
still have the heels chopped out of them, most
Oh,
of them.
yeah,
and
they
the toes
do.
are
Oh yes,
too
they do.
long.
Those
Oh,
are
yes, they
Yeah.
do. Let me show you
It's
something.
amazing. I know. It's really sad when I look at them.
What am I looking at here?
a lot
They'd
of
be
these horses
better
that
off if they were barefoot.
Okay.
probably.
No,
Yeah. Well,
I'm not against shoes,
Look,
but I'm going to show you what farriers are doing, thanks to Dr. Boker. Okay.
Okay, here's
And
one.
you got to have frog contact BS.
Okay, let me explain a scenario that could have happened. This is how I
Okay.
see the thing. Okay, this horse has been trimmed or shod for a while. Obviously, it's a dressage horse. It's in work. It's been doing its rounds, so it's obviously been shod forever and a day. Let's put it that way. I know how people shoe, and I know what they do, and the practices they follow. The practice is that lately, not lately, but for a while now, they've been trimming these horses and shoeing them with a frog still contacting the ground. Let's put it that way. So basically, they've been trimming the heels out. And not just that, there's another problem there too. When shoeing a horse, the cartilage part of the foot, not the pedal bone part, the cartilage part of the foot, which is further back, the back third of the foot, is very movable. So when loading and unloading, that foot expands and contracts all the time. And when you've got a shoe on, dirt and sand gets in between the shoe and the actual hoof, and it actually wears the hoof down. I mean, a lot of people don't think of it happening, but it happens. I've got videos to show you where this horse's feet will be worn down by a shoe. And if you look at the shoe, you can actually see the groove that the hoof wall has been worn into the shoe. Now, if you can wear a groove into metal, you can imagine how much of the hoof wall has not been worn away, or heel area has not been worn away over like a 5 to 6 week cycle of shoeing. And in contrast to that, your toe does not wear because there's a bone in the front of that foot which is keeping the foot stable. So what then happens is your toe keeps growing, your heel keeps wearing, and the foot is starting to slowly rotate backwards, so basically becoming negative palmar angle over a shoeing cycle. So the problem then comes, the farrier comes again, it takes some of the toe down to get that right, but in doing so, they also then take some of your heels off as well. So now that heel is being at a double whammy. So now what happens is the horse keeps going, and now all of a sudden the horse might be having to travel. So now it's got to have vaccinations and this and that and the other. That already puts the horse on a bad situation body-wise. Now the stress of traveling or transporting the horse, whether it's by flight or whatever the case may be, that's another stress that can also have a problem, could also have an effect on the horse. Now, the other thing is this horse has now got compromised feet. He's been vaccinated and he had stress from moving and everything. And what then happens is this whole horse is like a wound spring. Something's gonna snap if you don't release something. So what happens? The horse gets to the other side and they start working the horse again. And this horse looks maybe it looks a little bit off, So they'll call the vet and say, listen, the horse is not happy, something's off. But meanwhile, that could be his feet that's giving him problems, or some inflammation that's now kicked in and giving him some pain in the feet. And then the vet comes along and says, okay, well, maybe it's his joints or this and that. We'll stick some cortisone in the joints, whatever the case may be. Boom, boom, boom. They stick the cortisone in, and the next day the horse has laminitis. I've seen it so many times. So
it's so sad, and I agree with you 100%.
So that's what happens with a lot of horses.
Yeah, and gradually trimming heels out, which is what they're doing.
That sets the whole thing off, Linda.
Yeah.
And then the horse becomes a little bit tender. So they try and get past the tender stage by giving it cortisone in its joints, because that's where they think the problem is, or that's where the horse
needs. And then they elevate the false heels with pads. That makes it even better. Yeah.
Okay.
The pads is not that big of a deal. Let's put it that way. I mean, the pads, I've used pads before and it worked very well on horses to help them with their problems. But I mean, it's not something that you would put on for competitions and stuff like that. That's not going to really work. When you do that, you're doing it as a rehabilitation thing to get a horse better while at rest. I mean, I wouldn't advise somebody to do it while they're competing, because I think
the farrier overseas is probably different from the farrier in the United States, maybe particularly with pads, because wedge pads are a biggie here.
Yeah, they need them because they're trimming heels out.
Yeah.
But look here. You see this foot? Okay, there's no frog here. Because this is what's going on in farriers. So in barefoot trimming, they think they've been told that they got to have frog contact. So you lower the heels to the frog to get blood flow, they say. So they're wearing the frog down to where they have no frog and no heels. That's why last week, we looked at a dissection this gal did where she thought she had a big fat frog, and she barely took a slice and she sliced into the sensitive structures of the foot, because see, they don't know what they're looking at. And so now let's think about this. Now these farriers are told that to get blood flow, they have to have frog contact. And Dr. Boker teaches you lower the heels until the frog kisses the ground. All right. So what you do is you keep wearing the frog down so that you can't grow any frog here. So what does a farrier do then? Because he's got a shoe, he's got to put on the foot, right? So what is going on in farrier is they're lowering the heel so much to make up for the shoe. You understand? So they're lowering it up to the heels up to 1/4 of an inch more to make up. So to force this frog, this ain't even frog, this is the sulcorium on this horse. You see this area right here? That's what we're looking at right here. See how it's bulging up? And remember how I showed you, as you trim the heels up, it takes this cartilage of the heel and pushes it up that way. Okay, so the real heel on this horse is pushed way up in here. The bulb is pulled way down here. And they're doing this because they got to put a shoe on here and still get frog contact. So they're trimming the heels that low. And that this is happening all over the world with these farriers because of what some academic that hung out with barefooters and it biased his science And then he thought he could come up with a trim and call it the physiological trim. And now he has people all over the world lowering the heels just like this. Because see, the farrier has to interpret it as, well, how am I going to get frog contact with the shoe on it, right? Well, you just lower the heels even more so that you're forcing frog contact. And that's what, see, that's why I had this. How does one even begin to explain the worldwide epidemic of false knowledge among farriers and barefooters that in reality do not know anything even close to the truth about the anatomy of the foot of the horse? The horse to the left is suffering one of the worst cases of over trimming of heels I have seen. The heels are actually above the frog corium seen in the dissection picture below. The frog bulbs have been pulled down under, stretching the periopal, horse landing on his bulb. This is the reason for the injury. Now, this farrier here lives in England, Becky Mabut, okay? And she lives in England and she thinks this is a tread injury, an overreach injury. No, this is the back of the bulbs trying to pull up and stretch up back to where they should be. See, whenever you see this kind of thing, this is total scarring from the whole back of the foot being pulled under, the frog stay being ripped out and stretched out. And this is not a tread injury. And so here we go. I said the farrier to the left is in England. I know she is. Their farriers must have many years of training and belong to a farrier organization called the Worshipful Company of Farriers, which is vets and farriers. Yet this person's training, which they paid much for, is solely lacking in an accurate understanding of the anatomy of the inner foot. They're no better over there than they are over here, okay? And so this is why I say, this is what, somebody's doing this, somebody's killing horses at Santa Anita by doing this. Those horses there, it could have just happened because it was a regular farrier trimming the heels out over time and the horse got laminitis. But I guarantee you, they all do it, and it's not caused by what that horse ate, though that could exacerbate it. Vaccinations could, make it worse. But if a horse has good feet to begin with, a lot of times he can make it through other issues. See, so anyway, that's why I feel strongly about this, because see, Dr. Boker is a cross hitter. All right, he's in the barefoot movement and he was able to cross over into the farrier industry as well. And why is that? Because people are so impressed with academics. All you got to do is have a degree and get a grant, and there you go. And you're able to dream up all kinds of baloney that you can spread around the world in a heartbeat these days because of social media and the internet. What is it? A lie goes around the world before the truth even gets out the gate. All right, so that's all public, and I don't really give a flying tootie. All right. I don't give a darn what these people think, and I just don't care. Okay. Anyway, truth hurts. So
yep, Dr. Fauci springs to mind.
What?
Dr. Fauci springs to mind.
Oh. Oh yeah. What's the difference? See, I'm just going to tell you. Now, I have respect for people that went to school, and I know you paid a lot of money and stuff like that. And I do have a certain degree of respect for your hard work. But in the long run, I have zero freaking respect for higher education. Okay, these days, okay, because they're so full of crap, and they, intellectual envy, stabbing each other in the back, phony pseudoscience. Now, there's a lot of good people too, and I realize that, okay, but there is so much garbage in academia and in these colleges. I just don't have no respect for it, and I don't care what degree you have. That doesn't mean that you are beyond, what do you call it? Beyond refute, or that you're infallible. See? And I don't care how long a profession has been established or nothing else. Usually what they do is they cover up for each other's lies and bad behavior, like, well, we professionals, we respect each other, and we just don't, what is that called? Professional courtesy. All right. So I just don't care about that stuff. Period. Because all they're doing is killing everybody. Look, when was it? 100 years ago, you couldn't even get these doctors to wash your hands. All right. They were killing women and babies all over the place. And let me tell you, they ain't changed a lick. Once they get something they think is the truth, but it's a lie, they're going to hold on to it with everything they can. And the industry itself doesn't care how many dead bodies they're walking over. Okay. And that includes the horse world. So, okay. Well, anyway, does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? See, I'm able to change directions pretty quickly there. I really don't give a rat's butt what anybody thinks anymore. I've really tried to be nice and, oh, well, you don't want to say anything bad, I don't care. I don't care anymore. Anyway, I know they're killing these horses. Now, do they mean to do it? No. But does that make a difference? I didn't mean to do it. Did that make a difference to my horse? My pony will never be right. Probably. Okay, because I trimmed the heels out of her one too many times. Just one too many times before I learned that that's what we were doing. Now, I didn't mean to. Okay, does that make any difference to the pony? No. No, she's the one that has had to suffer because of that. Now, do I get her to a place where she's comfortable but she will never, I do not think, be what she could have been. See, too much. When you have laminitis and you have chronic laminitis and you have chronic rotation, I mean, you're keeping these horses on a tightrope there. Once you have had this for a long time, So anyway, all right, okay. Well, everybody have a good week. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say?
Not really, but thank you, Linda. It was
Okay.
nice chatting to you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
That was awesome.
Okay, I
Thank
want to ask
you.
you before I go. Do you see what I'm telling you here? That's going on in Farriery. What they are doing. We already know that lowering the heel is a bad deal, right?
I think that's why we're all here.
Yeah. So what they're doing is lowering them even more to make up for putting a shoe on.
Yeah.
So see, that's a screwy mess right there. Okay, so these horses, they served us, and this is how mankind and their academia and all their organizations and all their industries and everything, this is the kind of crap they do. No respect. All right. All right. Well, everybody have a great day.
One thing, just because now we're talking about academics and stuff, which is non sequitur transition. Do you have to change the Zoom meeting link? Did you mention that 2 weeks ago?
Oh, yeah, I'll have to make another series.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll post that
Okay.
on there. All right. And again, I want to say I do have respect for some academics. Okay. But as an industry, no. Okay. All right. Everybody have a great week and keep learning, keep moving ahead, and happy trimming. All right.
Thank you, Linda.
Linda,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.